The turkey was perfectly golden. The dining room table was set for 12. My entire family was gathered for Thanksgiving dinner when my mother looked at me across the mashed potatoes and asked, "Why didn't you come to your sister's baby shower last month?" The room went silent. My sister Lauren smirked. And I pulled out my phone and said 6 words that made everyone's face go pale, because I was never actually invited. What happened next exposed years of lies and favoritism that had been hidden under the surface of our perfect family. Hello everyone. My name is Jennifer Parker and I want to tell you about the day I finally exposed my family's treatment of me at Thanksgiving dinner. This is a story about golden child syndrome, scapegoating, gaslighting, and the moment when I stopped pretending everything was fine. It's about being blamed for things that weren't my fault and how sometimes the truth needs to be said out loud, even when it ruins the holiday. I am 28 years old. I have one younger sister named Lauren who is 25. My mother is 56 and my father is 58. Growing up, Lauren was always the favorite. The golden child who could do no wrong. I was the responsible one. The one who was expected to be mature, independent, and uncomplaining while Lauren got all the attention, praise, and support. This dynamic shaped my entire childhood and followed me into adulthood. When we were kids, Lauren got ballet lessons, piano lessons, art classes. I got told we couldn't afford activities for both of us, so I should focus on my schoolwork. When Lauren wanted to go to an expensive private college, my parents took out loans to make it happen. When I wanted to go to college, they said I should get scholarships or go to community college first to save money. Lauren got a car for her 16th birthday. I was told to save up and buy my own. When Lauren dropped out of college after 2 years, my parents said she was finding herself. When I asked if I could take a gap year before college, they said I was being irresponsible. I learned early on that complaining about this treatment was pointless. Whenever I tried to point out the unfairness, my mother would say I was jealous, immature, or selfish. "Your sister needs more support," she'd say. "You're naturally independent. You don't need as much help." But the truth was simpler than that. They just loved Lauren more. I accepted it. I moved out at 18. I put myself through college while working full-time. I got a good job in marketing. I built my own life. I stayed in contact with my family but kept some distance because every interaction reminded me that I would always be second place. Lauren, meanwhile, continued to live at home until she was 23. She worked part-time retail jobs and spent most of her money on clothes and trips. My parents supported her financially and emotionally. They praised her constantly. When she finally moved into her own apartment, my parents paid her rent for the first year to help her get established. I had never gotten that kind of help. But I didn't say anything. What was the point? 2 years ago, Lauren started dating a guy named Chris. Within 6 months, they were engaged. My parents were thrilled. They threw an engagement party. They offered to pay for a lavish wedding. Lauren was over the moon. I was invited to be a bridesmaid, which I agreed to do because despite everything, she was still my sister. The wedding planning was chaos. Lauren changed her mind about everything multiple times. Dresses, venues, flowers, everything. As a bridesmaid, I was expected to accommodate every change, pay for multiple dresses, attend every event. It was exhausting and expensive. Then, 3 months before the wedding, Lauren called me crying. "I can't do this. I don't think Chris is the right person. I want to call off the wedding." I drove to her apartment immediately. I spent hours talking with her, helping her process her feelings. In the end, she decided to postpone the wedding, not cancel it. My parents were upset but supportive. "Whatever makes Lauren happy," my mother said. The wedding was rescheduled for 6 months later. All the bridesmaid expenses I'd already paid were non-refundable, and I had to pay again for the new date. When I mentioned this was getting financially difficult, my mother said, "Family is more important than money, Jennifer." The wedding finally happened last year. It was beautiful. Lauren seemed happy. I smiled through the whole thing, even though I'd spent over $3,000 being in that wedding. Even though Lauren had never once asked if I was okay or if I needed help. A few months after the wedding, Lauren announced she was pregnant. My parents were ecstatic. We're going to be grandparents. My mother cried happy tears. My father beamed with pride. I congratulated Lauren genuinely. I was happy for her, even though there was a small, bitter part of me that knew this baby would get all the love and attention I'd never received. My mother immediately started planning a baby shower. She called me one day in early October. "Jennifer, the baby shower is going to be November 7th. Can you make it?" I checked my calendar. "Yes, that works. I'll be there." My mother sounded pleased. "Good. Lauren will be so happy you're coming." That was the last I heard about it. No invitation arrived in the mail. No follow-up text. No details about time or location. I assumed my mother would send the information closer to the date. November 7th approached. Still no invitation. No details. Nothing. On November 6th, the day before the shower, I texted my mother. "Hey Mom, what time is the shower tomorrow and where is it?" She didn't respond. I texted Lauren. "Can't wait for tomorrow. What time should I arrive?" No response from her either. I called my mother that evening. It went to voicemail. I left a message. "Hi Mom, just checking about tomorrow's shower. Call me back with the details." She never called back. By November 7th, the day of the shower, I still had no information. No address, no time, nothing. I texted my mother again. "Mom, I don't have the details for the shower. Where is it?" Hours passed. No response. I called again. Voicemail. I texted Lauren directly. "Hey, I never got the invitation or details. Is the shower still happening today?" Read receipt showed she saw it. No reply. By early afternoon, I realized what was happening. They hadn't actually invited me. My mother had asked if I could make the date, but they never intended for me to come. I sat in my apartment, hurt and confused. Why would they do this? Why ask if I could make it and then not send me the information? I didn't hear from anyone until 3 days later when my mother called. "Hi honey, how are you?" Her voice was cheerful like nothing was wrong. "I'm fine, Mom. How was the baby shower?" I asked carefully. "Oh, it was wonderful. Lauren got so many beautiful gifts. Everyone had such a nice time." She paused. "We missed you, though." My stomach dropped. "Missed me?" "Mom, I was never given the details. I didn't know where to go or what time." My mother's tone changed. Became colder. "What do you mean? We sent you an invitation." I sat up straighter. "No, you didn't. I never received any invitation. I asked you multiple times for the details and you didn't respond." My mother sighed like I was being difficult. "Jennifer, I'm not going to argue with you. We sent the invitation. If you didn't get it, that's not our fault. Lauren was very hurt that you didn't come to her shower." I felt anger rising. "Mom, I texted you the day before. I called you. I asked for the information. You ignored me." She cut me off. I was busy with shower preparations. I didn't have time to respond to every text. "You should have figured it out." I took a deep breath. How was I supposed to figure out an address and time I was never given? My mother's voice went sharp. "Don't make excuses, Jennifer. You missed your sister's baby shower. That's all there is to it." She hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, shaking with anger and hurt. They had set me up. They'd asked if I could make the date, never sent an invitation, ignored my requests for information, and now they were blaming me for not attending. It was cruel and deliberate. Over the next few weeks, my mother told everyone I'd skipped Lauren's baby shower. Aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends. Jennifer didn't even bother to come to her own sister's shower. Can you believe it? I heard about it from my cousin Rachel, who called me confused. "Hey, your mom said you missed Lauren's shower because you didn't care enough to come. What happened?" I explained the whole situation. Rachel was shocked. "That's messed up. They definitely did that on purpose." Other family members called with similar stories. My mother was painting me as the bad sister who couldn't be bothered to show up. I decided not to engage. I didn't defend myself to the extended family. I didn't confront my mother again. What was the point? They'd just gaslight me more. I kept my distance. I responded politely when my parents contacted me, but I didn't initiate conversations. I didn't ask about Lauren's pregnancy. I protected myself by staying away. Then came Thanksgiving. My mother called 2 weeks before. Thanksgiving is at our house this year. 4 o'clock. Don't be late. Her tone suggested it wasn't really a request. I considered saying no. But it was a major holiday. If I didn't show up, it would be more ammunition for my mother's narrative that I was the bad daughter. So I agreed to go. I brought a pie. I dressed nicely. I prepared myself mentally for whatever might happen. When I arrived at my parents' house, the driveway was already full of cars. Extended family was there. Aunts, uncles, cousins, my grandmother. Everyone important. I walked in carrying my pie. My mother greeted me coolly. You made it. Not I'm glad you're here or happy Thanksgiving. Just you made it, like she'd expected me to bail. Lauren was there, very pregnant, holding court in the living room. Everyone was fussing over her, touching her belly, asking about the baby. She saw me and gave a tight smile. Hi, Jennifer. I smiled back. Hi, Lauren. You look great. She didn't say thank you. Just turned back to the aunts who were complimenting her. I went to the kitchen to help with dinner preparations. My grandmother was there, and she hugged me warmly. Jennifer, I've missed you. How have you been? My grandmother was one of the few family members who treated me fairly. We chatted while finishing the food preparations. Dinner was finally ready. Everyone gathered around the large dining room table. My parents sat at the heads of the table. Lauren and her husband Chris sat next to my mother. I was seated at the far end, next to my teenage cousin. We said grace. We started passing dishes. Everything seemed normal. People were talking, laughing, eating. I was quiet, mostly listening. Then, right as I was taking a bite of turkey, my mother's voice rang out across the table. Jennifer. I looked up. Everyone turned to look at me. My mother had that expression on her face. The one that meant trouble. Why didn't you come to your sister's baby shower? The entire table went silent. All eyes were on me. My sister Lauren was watching me with a smirk. My father looked uncomfortable but said nothing. My aunts and uncles looked curious. My grandmother looked confused. I put down my fork slowly. Excuse me? My mother repeated herself, louder this time. Why didn't you come to Lauren's baby shower last month? Your own sister's baby shower, and you couldn't be bothered to show up. I felt my face getting hot. She was doing this here. In front of everyone. At Thanksgiving dinner. I took a breath. I didn't come because I was never actually invited. My mother scoffed. That's not true. We sent you an invitation. I pulled out my phone. No, you didn't. I opened my text messages and found the conversation with my mother. I held up my phone so others could see. On November 6th, the day before the shower, I texted you asking for the time and location. You never responded. My mother waved her hand dismissively. I was busy. You should have called. I swiped to show the call log. I did call. Multiple times. You sent me to voicemail. I showed the screen to my grandmother, who was sitting close enough to see. Her eyes widened. I continued. I also texted Lauren asking for details. She read my message and never replied. Lauren's smirk faded. My mother's face was getting red. You're making this up. I shook my head. I'm not. I have all the proof right here. I looked around the table. Mom called me in early October and asked if I could make November 7th. I said yes. Then I never received an invitation. No mailing address. No email. No text. Nothing. I asked multiple times for the information and was ignored. Then after the shower, Mom called and acted like I'd deliberately skipped it. My Aunt Karen spoke up. Wait, you really didn't get an invitation? I turned to her. No. I was never given a time or location. How could I attend something when I don't know where or when it is? My mother stood up. This is ridiculous. You're lying to make us look bad. I stayed calm. I have the text messages, the call logs, the dates and times of every attempt I made to get information. I'm not lying. My grandmother reached over and took my phone. She scrolled through the messages slowly. Her face grew stern. Margaret, she said to my mother, using her first name. She's telling the truth. These messages are from the day before the shower. She was asking for details and you didn't respond. My mother snatched the phone from my grandmother. She looked at the screen, her face going pale as she realized I had actual proof. She handed the phone back to me roughly. Well, maybe you didn't get the invitation in the mail. That's not my fault. I leaned forward. But it is your fault that you ignored me when I asked for the information. Multiple times. And then you told everyone I didn't care enough to show up. You made me look like a bad sister when you deliberately excluded me. Lauren finally spoke up. Maybe Jennifer just didn't want to come and she's making excuses. I turned to look at my sister. Why would I spend $3,000 being in your wedding if I didn't care about you? Why would I ask multiple times for shower details if I didn't want to go? She had no answer. My father cleared his throat. Maybe we should discuss this privately. I shook my head. No. Mom brought it up publicly at Thanksgiving dinner in front of everyone. We're discussing it now. My grandmother nodded. Jennifer is right. Margaret, what you did was cruel. You set her up to fail and then blamed her for it. My mother's voice got shrill. I did not set her up. This is just like Jennifer to play the victim and make everything about her. I felt something inside me snap. Play the victim? Mom, you've been treating me like garbage my entire life. You've always favored Lauren. You've always given her more money, more support, more love. And I never complained. I made my own way. I paid for my own college. I built my own life. I never asked you for anything. The table was completely silent now. Even the teenagers had stopped eating. I continued. But this. Setting me up to miss Lauren's baby shower and then telling everyone I didn't care. That's a new low. Even for you. My mother's mouth opened and closed. She looked around the table for support, but everyone was looking at her with different expressions. Shock, disappointment, understanding. My Aunt Karen spoke softly. Margaret, I think you owe Jennifer an apology. My mother straightened her shoulders. I will not apologize for Jennifer's choices. I stood up. Then I'm leaving. I'm not sitting here and being blamed for something that wasn't my fault. My grandmother stood too. I'll leave with you. My mother looked panicked. Mother, sit down. Don't be ridiculous. My grandmother shook her head. No. What you did to Jennifer is wrong. I've watched you favor Lauren for years and I've kept quiet because I didn't want to cause problems. But this has gone too far. She walked around the table to stand beside me. Jennifer has always been kind, responsible, and independent. And you've punished her for it by giving her less attention and less support. That's not how you treat your child. My mother's eyes filled with tears. You don't understand. Lauren needs me more. Jennifer has always been fine on her own. My grandmother's voice was firm. Every child needs their mother. Jennifer just learned not to ask because you made it clear she wasn't a priority. I picked up my purse and my pie that I'd brought. Thank you, Grandma. I looked around the table one more time. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I walked out. My grandmother followed me. As we got to the door, I heard my father's voice. Margaret, what have you done? We got in our cars. My grandmother rolled down her window. Come to my house, dear. We'll have our own Thanksgiving. I followed her to her small house across town. She reheated some leftovers she'd made. We ate together, just the two of us, and it was the best Thanksgiving meal I'd had in years. Over the next few days, my phone blew up. My aunts and uncles texted to say they believed me and that what my mother did was wrong. Several of them admitted they'd always noticed the favoritism but hadn't said anything. My cousin Rachel called to say she was proud of me for standing up for myself. My father called once. Your mother is very upset. You embarrassed her in front of the whole family. I responded calmly. She embarrassed herself by lying about what happened. I just told the truth. He sighed. She's not going to apologize. I nodded even though he couldn't see me. I know. That's okay. I don't need her apology anymore. Lauren sent one text. You ruined Thanksgiving. I replied. No, Mom ruined it by trying to publicly shame me for something that wasn't my fault. I just defended myself. She didn't respond. My mother never called, never texted, never apologized. I didn't expect her to. What I did expect, and what happened, was that the truth was finally out. The extended family now knew about the favoritism. They'd seen the proof that I'd been set up. And most importantly, I'd finally stood up for myself. It's been 4 months since that Thanksgiving. My mother and I don't speak. Lauren and I don't speak. My father occasionally sends brief texts that I respond to politely but without warmth. My grandmother and I have grown much closer. She's apologized for not speaking up sooner about how my parents treated me. I've told her it's not her fault. Some of my aunts and uncles have reached out more, including me in family events that don't involve my parents. For the first time in my life, I feel like some of my extended family actually sees me and values me. Lauren had her baby in January. A girl. My mother sent a group text announcement with photos. I responded with a polite congratulations. I didn't visit. I didn't send a gift. I felt no obligation anymore. My mother tried to make it an issue, texting me privately. Your niece was born and you can't even be bothered to visit. I replied simply. I wasn't invited to the baby shower. I'm not sure why you'd expect me to be involved now. She didn't respond. If there's anything I want you to take from my story, it's this: you don't have to accept poor treatment from family just because they're family. You don't have to keep quiet about favoritism or mistreatment to keep the peace. And you don't have to apologize for defending yourself when someone tries to publicly shame you for something that wasn't your fault. Standing up for yourself might cost you relationships. It might cause conflict. It might make holidays awkward. But it also gives you back your dignity and your peace of mind. That Thanksgiving dinner was the day I stopped accepting the narrative that I was the bad daughter. I stopped letting my mother control how I was perceived by the family. And I stopped caring whether Lauren or my parents approved of me. It was liberating. Painful, but liberating. My relationship with my parents may never recover. My sister and I may never be close. But I'm okay with that now. Because I finally chose myself. And that's something they never gave me permission to do. Thank you for listening to my story.